of people aren't going to pay their tickets, right?
Yeah, right.
So those things pay dividends all the way across the community. It's not just Rochester's not just a silo. There's no moat around it, and we are one community. How many people, go into the city every day to do business and go into the city to enjoy dinner, and how many people from the burbs, travel. This is a very transit, environment we live in. So it can't be, the one jurisdiction anymore. Those days are long gone.
Yeah. So it's, kind of in terms of backing it up, I always think of Fairport. I grew up downstate in a town called Clinton Corners, but I went to high school in Pine Plains, which is about 90 miles outside of Manhattan, kind of rural. You had a lot of people like the Bix had a country club that he owned up there and polo grounds. So there was a real haves and have-nots. And they had their own police department. And Officer Kaus, I don't know, I guess he was the chief. He lived on Main Street right after the speed limit dropped from 55 to 35.
Right.
This is no lie, in the 80s, I watched him do it. Walk up in the drugstore and hand someone a ticket because he clocked them from his living room the night before.
That's awesome.
And he had their license
Johnny,
plate.
here's your ticket. That's good.
But I always think, Fairport's the closest thing I can think to that in terms of a community, and yet it's growing and expanding in terms of more businesses are coming in there, and Packett's Landing's got more businesses and things. And, I don't know if you're seeing an increase in problems or...
So we always say crime is still against the law in Fairport.
Yeah, well, sure,
you know what I mean? So we enforce that. But it has grown exponentially. I mean, obviously, I think the majority of, the bar business in Rochester is now in Fairport on the weekend, right?
Sure.
If you don't believe that, come on out on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night in Fairport. The whole East End is in Fairport. I just had a woman in my office on Monday morning stating that there's a pop-up event this weekend, and I think it brings like 2,000 or 2,500 people on a pub crawl starting Saturday afternoon. So there's always those events. A couple weeks ago, we had a bus come in from Syracuse with a couple hundred people for a pub crawl, similar to the pop-up event that's happening this weekend.
It's great for the local economy.
It is.
Right?
It is
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and for the most part, do we have an uptick in calls? Obviously, with more people, and especially the environment of a bar or something like that, maybe. Do we have the, the sheer violence is 8 miles down the road in the city of Rochester? No, we do not. We'd like to believe it's somewhat from us, from what we do, but also the different people that come to Fairport. I think it attracts a certain clientele, like I said, as far as the bar crowd and stuff like that. People are out there for a good time, hopefully, the majority of them.
Yeah. What drives you kind of in terms of doing your job every day, getting out and serving the community, keeping your face out there, right?
Yeah, so I always said when I took this over and Sheriff Baxter was there, and having the guts to stand up for the guys is my big thing, and it is. And I think the last couple of years, we kind of took a butt whooping, law enforcement. Some of it warranted, but a lot of it not. So you asked me what motivates me. I guess just to try to bring back some semblance of respect to our job, in our communities, and the cops that do a good job every single day.
Did you feel that loss in your community?
I would say a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Okay.
I really would.
Yeah.
I don't think any community here in metropolitan Rochester across the United States that wasn't affected.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked to hear a community say they weren't affected, since 2012.
I always felt that the term and defund the police was a misnomer or inappropriately named. I always thought I didn't like it because it sounded anti-police, and we need, we need laws, and we need people to enforce those laws. And I thought what I thought people were trying to say was that should some of the money be allocated to maybe more mental health programs or something that's, more of a community-based thing. There used to be an awful lot in Rochester, and I don't know if they do it anymore, Sheriff, or not, where the police were involved with youth sports. Mm-hmm. They would coach the sports. There was an ability to say, hey, we're not the enemy, right? We see the value in you as youth of our community, and let's help and do that. And I don't know if that's happening. It seems like I'd rather, instead of defund, could we find funds to do something like that? That, to me, makes a better community and involves the police, and it's not the defund. I never liked that term. I really didn't.
It's an antagonistic term.
Yeah.
That's why it's antagonizing people that are out there sacrificing their life and trying to raise their families and do the right thing and going through hell in the last couple of years. As the chief said, some induced by ourselves in our profession, but The majority not. I mean, these are just good people out working. So if you want to reallocate the funds,
right?
If you want to say, you know what, why are the cops going to 911 calls where the kid won't get out of bed and go to school? He's 14 years old. He's a truant. We go to those calls. So I got no problem. If you want to hire a truant officer to, for your local school district and go to that call, you can call it defunding or refunding, right? But why are we going to that call? Why are we going to some of these animal control calls?
You got more important things to do, don't you?
But mental health is the big one, obviously. And with that,
huge.
We have to go to most of those calls to make sure it's safe and secure.
Yes.
Well, we can get the heck out of there as quick as possible if there's a professional right behind us that can actually help solve the problem. Because we realize we're not solving that problem as law enforcement. We're safety and security for that problem.
Right.
And we do it all
the time. Do you feel like
and
sometimes it raises the level a little bit of, I don't know, anxiety per se in a situation if all of a sudden a police officer shoes up? I don't know. In that situation.
The chief was just telling a story on the way over here. And he went to a call earlier today, and the guy's obviously got some difficulties.
Yeah.
And it was a potential threat call. And, by his interpersonal communication skills, he was able to de-escalate that thing right off the bat, but he was not in uniform. So, that pays dividends. These things are tools that we use, all the time. We do this. It's called triage. We do these types of calls all the time, and you can go there and just make sure it's safe and secure. And if we need to stay because the safety is going to be there the whole call, then we stay with the health professional or the mental health professional. We do it with health all the time. They're called EMTs and firefighters. Yeah, sometimes we stay the whole call with them. Sometimes we say, see you later. It's all yours. But you can't have all or none. And that's what the antagonist part, they just wanted to defund the police, turn it off. First of all, you got to build the new systems if you're going to build them first. And then you can take the allocations of police officers. So I'm not offended by those conversations, but they got to be well thought out. If you want to take some of that pressure off cops and put it on some other entity, because someone's got to respond to that house. Someone's calling for service.
I've always felt like sometimes people speak without thinking, which sounds silly, right? But is it not? I mean, I always thought we're lacking a critical thinking. Right. Your opinion is fine, but please understand that an opinion by definition is halfway between fact and fiction. So let's try to figure this out in an adult conversation, and we'll listen, and you'll listen, and we find a way. But that word was, I just felt like it was bad, and then you had this thing. I mean, have you felt like, and I don't know if it's since COVID or over the past couple of years, that some of that almost, and I'll call it anti-police, has de-escalated, has disappeared a little bit?
Yeah.
As though people realize maybe the pendulum went a little too far.
Absolutely. And we're seeing that response now. We're seeing people that just go out of their way to say hello, go out of their way to say thank you when they see you in uniform.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I walk every other week in the city. I walk on Jefferson Avenue, and people don't know I'm the sheriff at first. I mean, they go absolutely honking horns and all that when they see a blue uniform walking down Jefferson Avenue. They're excited to see a cop, and then they realize you're a sheriff, and it's like a party, right? We have a great time, but people love their police officers, and that doesn't mean we can't improve. That doesn't mean the FIT team we've heard so much about for years. Bringing mental health professionals to calls.
Right. Yep.
We started that. Law enforcement asked for that years ago, saying, why are we going to all these calls? We're not designed to solve this problem here. Yeah. We keep on going day after day, literally. So we asked for FIT years ago and developed that with the County of Monroe. And I think we're all on the same sheet of music. We got to take emotions out of these conversations a lot.
Yeah, it's
when
hard.
There's a horrific incident occurs somewhere, everybody gets very emotional as opposed to let's think logically about this and let's fix whatever's going wrong. But you see a lot of emotions right now. We see it everywhere.
But you've done a great job of being the face of the sheriff's office and being out. And
why are you looking at me? He's got that. I spend hours.
I always said that he looks like
hours with him.
Well, you know what? I have said, and we've said this before on the radio, that he looked like he could play for the Buffalo Bills. Now, Von Miller's out for the rest of the season, and there's a lot of worry now.
I'm just saying.
A lot of worry. They didn't get any sacks.
I'm just saying.
He cannot play.
What do you mean he can't play?
Just what I just said.
How many times have I pushed you and a VW bug out of a sand castle?
So you guys were did you both do the Baja?
It's Matt's car.
That's your car?
Yeah, he built the car and built the whole team to go around it.
I had no idea.
And then I go and push.
Do you do all the fabricating and everything on that? The roll bars?
I can't take the credit for that. I literally was a laborer for 6 years on that car. There was a guy by the name of Andy May that was the brains behind it. Andy's he's a very, very qualified mechanic. But
does he do welding and everything too? Because you got to put roll bars and cages in these, and
yeah, we did that. So,
do you know how to weld?
Not very well,
Okay,
but apparently
but
it holds up. So
Yeah. So we go.
Wow.
So one year there's a commercial going on, and we laugh about this. He rolled the car down a mountain all the time, right? And he did. He rolled the car down a mountain. The roll cage worked perfectly. We ended up on our butts. The hood of the car was facing straight up.
No injuries.
No injuries. So the next year we go back with the same car, and they do an ultrasound on the roll bars and all that, check your welds. So I'm like, they work great. The last year we rolled down a mountain, like, Matt's hitting me like, shut up, man, shut up.
let me clarify this story.
So
Me and the sheriff, we
Yes.
are going down a trail. Okay, it goes hard right and then immediate left up to a mountain. I don't know how.
And how fast are you going?
Not real fast at this point, maybe 40 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah, but that's a lot on those type. I mean, if you're doing a switchback type,
This
turn?
is straight up.
Okay.
So he says hard left, hard left, hard left. He's screaming into the mic.
I'm not screaming.
I make a hard
I'm
left,
coaching.
downshift, start up this mountain.
Yeah.
We get halfway up the mountain, we get into a rut, and it flips us.
Okay.
So we roll down the mountain several times. We flipped end over end over end over end.
What's going on in your head at that point?
Just get me to the bottom.
I'm thinking
The only thing I'm thinking
of
of
die.
It's an open window car, right? So
Yeah.
the most basic rule at that moment is keep your hands in the car.
Yeah.
Do not reach out the window. It'll
Great
crush
point.
you.
I'm thinking
And
of
that's-
anything coming to you. Have helmets on, but no
You have helmets, you have a 6-point
screens.
harness. You just got to trust the equipment that's
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
car. But let's just go back just 1 second.
So hold
here.
on. Let me finish telling my
How
version.
many people drive a car at one time? I mean, how many? So if you're getting in an accident, are you blaming the passenger of the car? Or are you blaming the driver?
Well,
of
it
the
depends
car,
if the
right?
passenger's just sitting there eating Cheetos or actually being the
you.
co-pilot
Thank
telling you
you.
hard left, hard left, hard left. How hard did you take the left, though?
Remember you said opinion a minute ago?
Yes, I
Was
did.
what?
Halfway between fact and fiction.
Thank you very much.
I can't wait to edit this thing. Where's the edit button?
So we ended up flipping the car back over by the help of a Mexican team, and we went another 400 miles to our car turnover. So we made it just fine. The next year, we bring the same car. Obviously, we do like $12,000 worth of upgrades, bring it back down to Baja, Mexico. We have to get it inspected every year. Like the sheriff said, they put an ultrasound onto the cage to make sure it's the right material, right density, that your welds are good, so on and so forth. So while they're doing that, if you don't pass, you don't race. So we just came 3,000 miles across the country to get our car inspected so we can race again. And the guy is putting the ultrasound on the machine, and the sheriff intelligently looks at me and says, "This cage held up great from the roll last year."
I think I'm bragging about it, right?
Great work, Matt.
And I look at him like this, and the sheriff goes, "Oh," and then he turned around and walked away.
So you have the trailer and everything that trailers it out?
Yeah, we trailered it out this
Yeah,
year.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days across country together. It was glorious.
That has to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
That had to be a lot of fun.
Thanks God. Thank God for Chick-fil-A.
How long is the race? How many?
So this last race, it's a different race. Matt knows it better than I, but the first two we did were loops, about 800 miles, give or take. And this one was the second longest, I think, in history.
Yeah.
It's a run straight down the peninsula,
Yeah.
and it was over 1,200 miles.
1,227 miles.
Wow.
Yep, and
That's
a
a
VW bug.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a long time.
That is. Your ass has got to hurt after that.
Everything hurts.
Yeah.
You know, we're not in the car the whole time. We switch out drivers, but
Yeah.
when you're not driving,
So these are endurance races?
yeah, there's
with different teams.
So there's how many different classes?
About 200 to 400 cards.
But I
Depending
mean,
on the year.
are you guys part of a team? It's you two and
Yep, we have a couple people from San Diego, California. We have one guy from Louisiana, and the rest of the guys are from Rochester. We bring about 11 or 12 people down total.
12 guys. So then what are you doing? Like teams of 6?
No, there's actually only 3 driving teams.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I drive, he drives, and then we have a co-driver when we're driving. Then a
Right.
guy by the name of Jeff Richardson here locally, and a guy by the name of Travis Dutemple.
What made you get into this?
It was a
Where
challenge.
did you find out about it?
As a kid, I always wanted to do it as a kid.
Yeah.
My nephew and I originally were going to do it together, and then his interest kind of subsided, so we continued on with it. So just a dumb idea.
No,
Is what
it's
it
fun.
was.
I love racing. Like, I mean, that kind of racing is something I've never experienced. But I know that you guys went down to Watkins Glen the
that was
last
a
time
great-
we spoke.
great experience.
How fun is that?
Oh my God!
Isn't that a
incredible.
blast?
Just incredible.
It's a blast.
It's incredible.
And driving that track is the
It's
best.
just a blessing to get on it. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
world class.
It's a world class,
race,
yes.
and you got to go up there in a hot rod car,
And you get guys who really know that track well. And I've been in the passenger seat more than I've been behind the wheel on that track. And it's incredible to just be a passenger in there and just watch them and how they know exactly where to go and how far to come out of the turn and when to.
the whole threshold part of that. And some of these people in these smaller like mini coupes are just sliding through these turns,
Yeah.
intentionally just
Yeah,
sliding. And,
yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, and-
I mean, if you get up to, they call something called the bus loop at Watkins Glen International, and they
Great
put it
spot.
there because guys were dying in that turn.
Right.
And the experienced drivers, they run right down the rumble strips on both sides.
It's almost like a
they go
straightaway
straight.
for them, right? They
Yeah.
jog a little right, jog a little left.
It's insane.
I don't know
It's
how much
insane.
they slow down.
They don't. They usually don't. And then I even love when you're watching like guys who are pros racing. They'll break late going into turn one, and there's even rumble strips there and an outer lane.
Yeah.
Because guys just the momentum carries them out, and then they come
turn
around.
one is just